Okay, I think we are about ready to begin. I'd like to welcome all of you for our first webinar presentation. I'm going to introduce some people in a moment and go over the agenda, but at first I just wanted to say welcome. I'd like to just draw your attention to a couple things. There's a Q&A spot for this that you can drop some of your questions into, and I do believe the chat feature is still on and working, so I'm looking at some of these open questions in there, and we are going to have a Q&A session at the end of the entire presentation. So without delaying things any further, I'm going to jump right in and do a little talking. My name is Ron Wales, and I am the coordinator of instructional programs at Ephrata Area School District. And I'm also the coordinator and supervisor for the Ephrata Virtual Academy. Good. So the agenda for our webinar is I'm going to give some general information and walk us through some of the details about EVA. I know there's a lot of interest in online learning right now. So I know many of you have popped in, and we have a kind of a tremendous turnout right now, almost 100 people in the participant section. So thank you again for your interest in everything that Ephrata has to offer. I'm actually coming to you from Boyertown Area School District, where currently I'm in the role of the supervisor of secondary curriculum and also the coordinator of and supervisor of their online learning program. And I can tell you that EVA and what Ephrata offers is definitely top notch as to what you see out there as far as online learning and what we can, you know, what the potential that we can offer students for cyber learning. I'm also joined today by Misty Weber, who works in Warren County, and she is the administrator for their online learning program, who also functions in the background of the EVA program and provides an additional layer of support for us and our students. And she's going to give you the demonstration of courseware today to show you a little bit behind the scenes of what EVA offers and what we can do. And so I'd like to welcome her and say thank you for coming. We also have with us Susan Summers-Steffi, who is our coordinator for pupil services at Ephrata Area School District. And she's going to talk to you today about information concerning IEPs, GIEPs, 504s, and ELL support, and how we offer that behind-the-scenes support for students that may have those exceptionalities and how EVA can work with those students. So she's going to talk today, and also at the end of it, we're going to have a Q&A session. So just to review who we have here, I'm the coordinator of instructional programs. We also have Lori Groh in the background, and she is the assistant to the coordinator of instructional programs. And if you were interested in EVA, your first points of contact are usually either your building principal, me, or Lori Groh. And once we determine that EVA is the right fit for you, Lori and I work you know, behind the scenes to coordinate things and to make sure that you're getting the best possible experience. Misty Weber, the Virtual Academy Administrator from Warren County, Susan Summers-Steffi, the Coordinator of Student Services, and Dr. Tim McCormick, who is our Director of Technology and there to support our students' technology needs at Ephrata. And so this is really the kind of core team that's working to provide, again, multiple levels and layers of support, which is so absolutely critical when you're talking about virtual learning, to make sure that your technology is taken care of, administratively you're taken care of, that student particular needs and services are taken care of, and that the courseware is running, you know, so as close to error and technologically challenging free as you can get it. So to talk a little bit about EVA before we get to the demonstration, I want to first take a moment to talk about this year and the particular you know, difficulties within this year and the response to those that we're seeing at Ephrata Area School District. When we talk about EVA itself, it is one of 3 options, and EVA has 3 options. So EVA is one of 3 options that you have for your children, your student this year. The other 2 options that are not represented on the screen here involve the modified traditional. And what we mean by that, the modified traditional, is you are sending your child or student to the school at the brick and mortar building, knowing that certain stipulations and certain guidelines by the CDC and the Department of Education are going to be adhered to, such as social distancing, face, coverings, and all those kind of features of sanitizing and that. So that is the modified traditional. So you have that option this year, okay? You can send, as long as schools are open and the governor is allowing that, you can send your child to school. The other option that is not EVA is an online option that allows you to have your child or student at home or anywhere, and they are in the classroom virtually, in their traditional classrooms with the students that have elected to have gone there in the modified traditional fashion, but they are there virtually. Okay, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds about how that is going to work, but just briefly, there is additional equipment being acquired so that students can see, they can hear, they can interact with people through the virtual environment, okay, with students that are in the classroom and with the teacher. So, and that is really a very unique aspect for Ephrata area school districts. Other districts are starting to catch on to the fact that they have to offer that. I know that here at Boyertown, I listened to a board meeting last night. We had originally presented our options for the district to our board, which we had to go back and revise, did not include this option. And what we're really learning here at Boyertown is that parents appreciate the option of maintaining a presence in the Ephrata area school district classes, so that their son or daughter or student is going to the classes that they normally would have just in a virtual fashion. And what that really offers, it offers what we call synchronous sessions, which is you are live there while the students who are still going to school in the brick and mortar school are there at the same time. So it offers the exact same content that you get in the Ephrata area school district classes that your son, daughter, or student would be going to at the same time of their students. So you have the structure the same and the content is exactly the same. Okay, so those are the two options that are not EVA. The three options within EVA you now see on your screen. Okay, and that's really where we're going to spend the bulk of our time talking about. EVA has three models. EVA is not the same curriculum that is in the Ephrata area school district brick and mortar schools on a daily basis, okay? You get the curriculum that is aligned to the standards, meaning the activities, the lessons, and the assessments that your son or daughter would be working through EVA are aligned to the exact same standards that the kids in the traditional brick and mortar school are working towards. Okay, so they're all working towards the same target. It's just on EVA, it's a different curriculum, which means the resources will be different, the readings will be different, the instructional activities will be different, the assessments might look different, but the standards are the same. So they wouldn't fall behind. They wouldn't be behind their peers that are in the traditional brick and mortar classroom in the modified traditional fashion or in the online fashion. Just to be clear. The first option we have is the full-time cyber. That is offered for students K through 12. Okay, if you choose that option, you are choosing the EVA curriculum, which is administrated through Warren County by Misty Weber, who's here to demonstrate it for you. Okay, so it's a different curriculum than you would get in the brick and mortar school or in the online option that's offered this year because of COVID-19. You still have access to district activities if you choose the full-time option or essentially any of these options. Okay, so that is really important. So if you think, if you choose to go EVA, that you're not going to have access to specific things like, oh, does that mean my son, daughter, or student can't play sports? No, it doesn't mean that. They absolutely can play sports. They can, we have a hybrid option where we're looking at the possibility, and a few details have to be ironed out at this point, but looking at the possibility that they will still have access to specific courses they want to take. So they still have those district activities. They're still part of the Ephrata area school district, and we care for them as though they're our own student. They still have access to pupil services, and that is so important. So counseling and certain, and certain things, certain interventions that can be done, and that's generally managed on a case-by-case basis. They do work synchronously and asynchronously. And what that means is when you go full-time cyber, particularly at the elementary level, you will get a synchronous session with the cyber teacher, okay, who is through Warren County School Districts. It's not the Ephrata Area School District, it's through Warren County School Districts. You will have a synchronous session in the elementary section 3 to 5 times a week. It's somewhere in there. About 3 to 5 times you'll have that. You'll have one teacher, kind of in the traditional fashion that elementary school students do, that will manage their courses, particularly in those 4 core, and they will have synchronous live sessions that they will have to go to, and there'll be a schedule for that. There's also asynchronous work, and what we mean by that, there's work they're going to do independently on their own through the courseware that Misty will demonstrate for us. One of the things I want to hammer home is if you are considering a cyber charter school, such as PA Virtual or CCA or Agora, or all the the many cyber charter schools that run through Pennsylvania, their curriculum and the EVA curriculum is the same. And by the same, I actually mean that EVA chooses from a variety of curriculum vendors, and they handpick the best that they want to put into each of the courses that are designed through our partners at Warren County. So if you're thinking that there is, this is not a curriculum we generate. Typically, when you look at the cyber charter schools, they don't generate their curriculum either. They get a curriculum from a third party. They populate it into their cyber charter programming platform, and they deliver it to the customer. Ours through EVA, through Warren County, does the same thing, but we get to pick from a variety of vendors to select and kind of complete those courses. Also, I want to point out with EVA, we're going to be publishing our course options this week. There are many elective options, including honors options. So that's a full-time cyber, and I talked a lot there about the particulars that apply to the hybrid as well. K through 12, we're talking about, and we're working right now to get you access to online learning in modified traditional modes, meaning if you want to do kind of this EVA for maybe your 4 core classes, but you also want access to the brick and mortar art class or the brick and mortar PE class or brick and mortar, wood tech. I mean, it's kind of hard to do wood tech in in online. It just, it's not an easy transfer. We're working to get that in, and we're actually going to publish when those details are finalized. We're going to publish them on the website. But also, if you think about it, if you wanted to choose EVA for a certain number of classes, you absolutely can do the online learning option for the others. So that online option where you would have your son, daughter, or student that are, we're going to use Microsoft Teams, so I'm going to say Zooming to represent that, zooming into the live classroom going on in their Ephrata Area School District English class or their Ephrata Area School District business class or whatever the case may be. They could have that along with their EVA options. So when you look at what Ephrata Area School District is really trying to do, it represents such a great possibility, and it's so robust that it's probably one of the most generous types of offerings I've seen from any of the school districts, which is why I'm so excited to be starting work here. The last option is our Learning Lab at Washington, and that is only for students 9 through 12. That is self-paced. It does not have synchronous sessions, and it includes credit recovery for students that were struggling to maintain the number of courses that they needed to work through to get to the level at which they would graduate on time. That includes on-site coaches and support, and that is available from 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. to accommodate a variety of learners with a variety of needs. Some kids are working full-time and they're working towards their diploma, and some have other needs that they can only be in, that they only want to be within the brick and mortar, working in a cyber virtual environment for 4 hours a day. So we have built that to accommodate those needs as well. And again, that is an absolute innovation that not every school district offers. The benefits, and I've spoken to some of these benefits of EVA. Same curriculum as cyber charters. There's nothing that the cyber charter can give you that we can't give you, and there are many things that the cyber charter can't give you that we can give you. We offer synchronous sessions. So for students at the elementary level, you're looking at 3 to 5 sessions a week, and Misty can talk a little bit more about that when she's on. You get an Ephrata Area School District diploma without any distinctions that you did your work online, or, you know, and there's a direct transfer between, you know, the grades you're looking at in AVA and the grades that you would be getting, because it's all standards aligned. It's all a vetted, rigorous curriculum that we put our seal behind. You have access to school activities, you have local tech support, counseling support, pupil services support, should you need it. You have teacher support behind the scenes from the teachers at Warren County School District from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So if you're stuck on a math problem, you know, you're taking a course in, you know, algebra 2, which is typically, you know, where the parents start to kind of check out of doing the behind the scenes, you know, coaching at home or some of that tutoring. I know myself, as soon as my daughter gets to, either of my daughters gets to anything like an algebra course, that's when I'm going to have to start tapping out and saying, well, you're going to have to ask your teacher. Well, they have the teachers. They have them available 8 to 3 to check in with. And of course, you're going to get those synchronous sessions that are scheduled. And we do have honors and elective courses. The honors probably doesn't apply so much to elementary students, but the electives will. And there's a robust offering offered through AVA. Again, I'd like to just highlight online option versus AVA, just so that we're clear, because we have this new thing coming to us. The online option is linked to the brick and mortar school and the brick and mortar schedule. So you're going to be, you know, zooming in from your house to see what's going on in the school. AVA is not the school Ephrata Area School District curriculum. It doesn't match what's going on the day-to-day schedule. Online option, you have daily virtual interactions with Ephrata teachers and classmates. AVA is not Ephrata teachers. Those teachers are through Warren County, and Misty will talk about that when she's demonstrating. Online option has synchronous sessions each day for all classes, okay? And that is a little bit different from AVA, which has synchronous sessions, but it's not every day for all classes. So if you're in the online option for Ephrata, you are committing to going to class. You know, if your son or daughter or student was at 9 o'clock, they hit an English class and it was their 5th grade English class, 9 o'clock will always be their 5th grade English class. They'll simply be zooming in with the teacher they would have had if they went to the brick and mortar. AVA is different. You're going to have 3 to 5 sessions of synchronous sessions per week with their teacher, but it's not a synchronous session each day for every class. Online option, Ephrata's in-house curriculum. AVA is curriculum through our online providers, and the same, if not better, than the cyber charters. Here's the contact information, and you don't have to write this down, but if you are interested in AVA, now I know for many of you, your building principals are reaching out to talk with you because you voiced interest via our online form about, you know, an online option this year. I see that many people are still deciding in that online option. We are all keeping in constant communication about where people's minds are at with whether they're going to go online option or whether they're going to go to AVA or whether they're going to go to traditional brick and mortar. Coming up within the next couple weeks, and I don't know the exact date of the deadline, but we're going to ask you to decide for your son, daughter, or student as to which option you want to go with. Do you want to go with AVA? Do you want to go with to start the year with online? Or do you want to go with our modified traditional brick and mortar instruction? Now, some of the questions about the options, such as online, do I have to stay online all year? The whole purpose of the online option is to create a more porous environment between the brick and mortar building and what's going on, you know, and the outside world, so that students, let's say somebody has to be quarantined for a couple weeks, or if somebody gets sick, they can go to the online option and maintain the exact same pace, the exact same content as to what's going on in the brick and mortar. AVA would not do that. If you signed up for AVA, you would be in AVA, and you wouldn't necessarily have that option. You're not going to be going into the online or into the brick and mortar. You would stay on AVA for at least a period of time. And I talked with Misty about this, and generally the courses run an A or B schedule, and part A runs a semester and part B runs a semester. So the commitment and the natural time by which you would start to make any changes would be by semester. But if you have any information, or well, I just gave you information. If you would like to know more information about AVA, best thing to do is to email Lori Grow or myself, and we will be happy to get back to you and start to work through some of those other little details. So that is my presentation. I know I gave you a lot of information, and if you need to review it, this is being recorded. So, but what I'd like to do is move on to our demo at this point in time. Knowing that we're going to go through the demo, we are going to look at, and we're going to talk to Sue, Summer, Steffi, and we are going to have a Q&A session, try to answer some of your questions that are popping up in the Q&A. So I am going to stop my share, and I am going to turn things over to one of our panelists, Misty Weber.
You want to give me the ability to share?
Yep.
Letting me. Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and make you the host.
Okay, we got it now.
Awesome.
All right. Good morning. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Okay. My name is Misty Weber. I'm the principal of our program here, but we also contract and work with other school districts, Ephrata being one of them. And we've done this for a few years now, so this isn't something new. We have good relationship with the school district and work together to be able to meet the needs of all of the students. So with this being elementary, I have an elementary demo. I'm going to show you the learning management system that we use, and then kind of what a course looks like so that if you have any questions on that, we can answer them. So this is an elementary demo, and once they log in with their username and password, this is what they're going to see. They're going to see tiles with all of their courses for the year on the main page. A couple of features of this learning management system: there is a to-do list. The to-do list tells them everything they need to do for the week. As the day, it will let you know if it's past due. Everything will be there for them to know exactly what needs turned in for that day. There is also an activity stream. And on this activity stream, it's going to show everything that happens in this system. So if your child turns in an assignment, if it's graded, if a new announcement comes up, any of that stuff will be recorded so you can kind of see what's going on. Anytime you want to get back to the main page, you just go and click on the home button. I'm not even sure the exact name. I always call it the hamburger for our kids. They go up to this little part right here, and then it gives them a lot of different options. So they can always navigate home. It has a grade button. So if they just want to see an overall view of their grades, the progress in their course, it will also list all their teachers at that time. So everything will be there for them to just have a quick glance at how they're doing. And you just go back up. This feature is probably more for our older kids, but you have the ability to take notes in any course that you're working in. All of your notes would be archived here so that you can go back to them and glance through them. There's a communication button, so any announcements that are posted by teachers, by the administration, everything goes there for you to access and see. This is the calendar feature. It shows you everything that's due each day. Everything that's a blue dot is an assignment. You can also just say, I just want to see what's due for language arts. So you can click it to just show what you want to see. So everything is there to easily know what the expectation is for really the entire course. I also have a link to an email. Our district uses Microsoft. If you use Google, we can put a link right there so it's easy for them to jump to their resources to be able to do assignments and check communication. We also have a link to Zoom, so when the synchronous live sessions are up, they're able to just jump in it, put the ID in, and then they're into their lessons. So no navigating with websites. All of that's there. You can also jump to a course just by clicking here. So when you go back home, I'm going to show you a course real quick. Every course is here. It has the grade that they have, their current progress. You can always click the grade book as well using this button. You can start the course using the play button, or you can just click on the tile. Once you click on it, it opens right up. We always have as soon as you click it, it's called our landing page. We have the information for the teacher. So if you're wondering, who's my teacher? How do I get a hold of her? That's always going to be placed right here, so it's easy to figure out, hey, I got to get a hold of Miss Munch, and this is how I can email her, I can call, whatever works best for you, you can use that information right here. There's also a to-do list just for that subject you can jump to, but it automatically defaults to the activities due. The course is set up that you have to complete the activity previous before you can go into the next one. So there's no jumping around the course. You do what's assigned for the different days. So let me just open up a lesson for you. This is language arts, second grade, first semester. And what's nice is everything has an audio feature. So if I just click that,
click on the image to learn about each family.
It's going to read that aloud. And what's nice is it doesn't sound like a robot. It sounds like a person. So that's one of the things I really love. You can navigate by doing the arrow. There are 8 pages in this lesson. You can also navigate through the table of contents. So right here, one of the things I love about our curriculum, this is elementary, it has a very balanced literacy approach, which means we have spelling, vocabulary, reading, writing, all of it's encompassed in the topic that's presented, which is really nice. It has a nice seamless blend. So if I were to kind of click through and go to the next one, this is the short A sound. So it's going to go through a little activity with the kids. They can click on the picture to hear the word and kind of go through that way. And then they can use the arrow to keep kind of working through the different activities. There is some questions. The answer will pop up once you go through. It will read it aloud to you. There is also a workbook that accompanies all of our K-5 core courses. So anytime we see something in here that they can open up and work on, you also can just go to your workbook. So they're one and the same. What's nice is there's activities. It has the spelling. It even shows kids how to build their own little word wall. And right here it has that download button, so that's they can download it or they can open up their workbook. All of that is there. It will go through everything for them, page by page, with that audio piece. One of the other things I really like, it's this little tool right here. It's called an Immersive Reader. And if you open it up, it actually has a bunch of tools that you can use on any page. So if I click this, this is called a screen reader. So it helps focus the child where they are on the page so they don't kind of lose their spot, which I really like. I also can highlight a word, and then you can click, this is a translation button. So this translates it in Spanish. That's what it's currently defaulted to. It also, I could click this, it will tell me the dictionary definition. But with these being younger courses, we also have a picture dictionary. So then that way, that is there for them as well. It also, you can click just the little audio pieces throughout, or you can actually play the entire page and it will read it to you and they can pause. Every single video in our courses also has transcripts. So that way, if you walk out and you want to see what did you just watch, you can look at the transcript and see everything that was said in that video. The text, the little books they're reading, everything is embedded right inside the course. Once they get into the older grades, we do have novels that they'll start, and they will be sent a novel to be able to work through. But there's also PDF links, but I always like that concrete piece for the kids. So that is there. One of the other features that I super love is this Learning Coach tab. So online learning is new for a lot of people. And with this Learning Coach tab, it actually shows you as the learning coach or parent what that whole lesson is going to be about. What can you do to support your kid? What are the key words that they should be focusing on? All of that is there for you. There's no guessing. What is my kid going to learn today? I have no idea. So this is there to support you as the parent. So I really do enjoy that. One of the other features that we have is once you're in the course, you can click on the little grade book. Once you click on that, it does have everything for that entire course so that you can see exactly what is due and when. If you see this little arrow, it means that a retry is allowed because we really truly believe we want our kids to master learning. And so we do retries throughout. This is a little feedback button. So if you click the assignment, it's gonna have feedback from the teacher right here. The questions will be there so you can see what they got wrong and what they need to work on. It tells you the time they turned it in, their score, and it also says who submitted it. So that's nice because we want to make sure the students are doing their work. So everything is there. There are these tabs up top. I'm just going to show you a couple. My favorite tab ever is called the Activity tab. When you click this, you see every single thing your child has done. The date, the lesson, the time they got on, and how long they were on it. One of the key features of this is when your kid takes a quiz and you look to see it's a 4-question quiz and they took 5 minutes to take it, then obviously they were taking a lot of time. So we want to see why. So we go back to see how long did they take in the lesson. And then if it tells us 2 seconds, then that's where the conversation needs to be had, and we'll make sure that we can address that with our kids. So this is a tool for you. It's also a tool for our teachers. We do have objective mastery. So the objectives, what they're gonna learn. Another key thing with this is if you open it up, it's gonna show you where they learn these different things, what lessons, and you can go to those lessons. So that's a nice feature. There's also badging. There's a what if button. So if they did retry an exam, you can put, you know, now what if they got a 60? What would that do to their grade? That's there for you. So there's a lot of really neat tools for our kids and our families. One of the things, I'm gonna go back here, the only other thing I kind of want to show you is, and then every single course we have a resource folder that shows you exactly how to do the different things in the system. So you're not trying to guess, how do I do this or that? So if you click on the table of contents, it's going, this one's defining learning coaches, but it's also gonna show you how to add an assignment in your Dropbox, how to submit a PDF, like all those different things that might be new. It's gonna show you how to do that. So you're comfortable, you can go back to it if you need to. It is all there. So here, like recording audio, checking your grades, all that's there to go back to at any time. I think I probably spent enough time talking, so we'll let Ronald Wales take over. I'm gonna stop my share.
All right, I'm back. Thank you so much. What I'd like to do now is it would be nice to talk to Sue. Sue, are you ready to talk a little bit about your role in all of this? You can unmute and we can just kind of keep the panel screen here if you're comfortable with that.
Sure. I saw some of the questions ask about student services and how does that work within EVA, and then probably also if we did online at home. Just for everyone to know, any student with student services, whether that's a GIEP, an IEP, whether they have services through a 504 or even ELL needs, EFRTA would still have those documents and those plans, and we would still be part of making sure your student got exactly what they needed to access their education. Now, it will look a little different whether it's EVA or whether it's online at home. Like we said before, online at home is with our teachers. So your plans would not change a whole lot if you were online at home, except for the way in which you're accessing your education. So those plans would be updated, but you would still have a case manager. That case manager would be in touch with you. We would still hold the IEP meetings or GIEP meetings, and we would give you any kind of specially designed instruction that you need. If you choose to go to EVA, we would still write your IEP and we would still make sure the specially designed instruction is used and met, but we would be working with other teachers that are not EFRTA teachers. We would still be heavily invested because we want all students in EFRTA to succeed. So yes, you would have an IEP and Ephrata would write it, and we would work with Misty and her folks to make sure it was implemented. Not sure if there's questions, but I imagine with question and answer, we'll catch those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Sue's, as people are indicating interest in our online form, you're absolutely right there behind the scenes to kind of like pick out the names of kids that you already know have specific needs or require any type of specialized services. So Sue is part of the team that's there to support. And I talked before a little bit about those multiple levels of support that we can offer for our online students. We have the team that is at Warren County with Misty, and I want to thank her for showing up for this demonstration. You have your Ephrata team, and that includes a variety of people. Lori's behind the scene, I'm behind the scenes, Sue's there. You also have your building. You have your administrators, your building administrators that are still there to support you through the process. We don't want you to feel like if you go to EVA or in the online option, you're going to be out on some island. You're still part of the Ephrata Area School District, and we're still here to take care of you with those multiple levels of support. So right now, I'd like to jump into some of the Q&A, some of the questions that we have. I've seen some questions pop up that we may have spoken to already. I'm going to pull them up on my screen and just try to rifle through them and answer them as best as possible, as quickly as possible. But I realize people have, and if I don't know the answer to the question, I can find out the answer to the question. I simply ask that you use the contact information that I'll go back to at the end of this and send me an email so that I'm reminded of the question. Working in, back and forth between two districts at this point, and dealing with, kind of speaking to the concerns in another district gets a little jumbly at times, but if you send me an email and I don't know the answer, I can follow up with the answer. So first question, what resources will be provided? Will they be able to participate in extracurriculars at Ephrata and potentially transfer back into Ephrata School District should things clear up a bit? Well, the resources we provide, those resources are the technology resources, the courseware, the support behind the scenes. So if tangibles are needed, I know Misty spoke about some courses that would require a book or something like that. All of that is provided to you. There's no cost associated with that because you're our student. It's already paid for. So there's no cost associated with you getting any of that technology or any of the supplementary or consumable materials that you would need. Participate in extracurriculars? Yes, absolutely. And potentially transfer back into Ephrata Area School District? Absolutely, you can transfer back in. We recognize that at this point in time, people are making decisions and they're feeling their way through this. And if at some point in time, I know with EVA, we generally look for, and I talked about this with Misty, there's certain points in time we would want you to transfer back in, not only for the benefit of just the logistical, situation of going on and finding, the right spot for your son, daughter, or student, but also the fact that the curriculum, like I said before, it's through Warren County, it's through the courseware that you saw, which is not the exact same activities and things going on within the Ephrata Area School District traditional brick and mortar classrooms. So we would want a point at which it would seem logical and reasonable to transition, back in. And usually that's oftentimes around the semester break because that's the way the courses are set up. About how much work may go into a kindergarten day and what might the work look like. I think Misty showed you what the work looks like. My familiarity is, and Misty can speak to this, about 4 hours. Is that about right?
If we're talking kindergarten, kindergarten is probably 3 hours, maybe within the system, but you will have live lessons, so that would count towards time outside of the system. And you also would have your own workbooks and things like that to accompany the curriculum. We don't want to see kids sitting in front of a screen, even though we're a virtual academy. We want kids to learn. So it's definitely best for our younger kids to have a lot of concrete, like writing and things like that, to be able to master their concepts. So you will see that gradually increase as you go up the grades, up to high school, when they're looking at 5 hours in the system with maybe 45 minutes off screen time. But every child works differently. So we look at that time, but we also look at progress. So if you're able to master that concept, and doing all your work at a superior or average to above average quality, we want to make sure you've mastered it. So if you've mastered it, then that's what we're looking for.
You work on the mastery system, correct?
Yeah.
Before they progress to the next level of content, we want to make sure that the students have grasped it, because it is standards aligned, and we want to be able to ensure, and so they master it, and then they move on.
And I will just say, like, as they're going through the curriculum, our teacher is going to check to see, oh, Billy didn't get this. So she'll reach out and say, hey, can I support you? Do you want to do a live lesson? Or he might be like, oh, I just misread the directions, or whatever it is. So we'll work through that, and we'll reach out to make sure that we're supporting you in any way that we can, and throughout the system.
Yeah, and I saw a question pop up in the chat. Workbooks means actual paper workbooks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. With doing the virtual but in the classroom for kindergarten, they would have to be logged in for 3 hours of a kindergarten day. Correct. Yes, they would be logged in to participate, and it wouldn't necessarily, like, if we're talking about hours, the online option for Ephrata this year, where you are participating with the Ephrata Area School District brick and mortar classes just virtually, it'll be both live and asynchronous, which is not live work. Kind of like on EVA, you have some work that's live sessions, some work on the computer, and some work that's, the independent work or group work being done in a kind of through the technology. So it would be kind of what the teacher designs. There would be a live component every day for each class in the online session. In EVA, there's not a live session every day. There's 3 to 5 live sessions a week, and they would be on their computer for some of that time in addition, and doing other work in addition to that. So it would really be a mix of things. Would we be notified of sports activities, or would they be posted online? Yes, they would be posted online, and we are, there is a system behind the scenes once we have an understanding of who the EVA kids are, and we have their, we have their contact information that we can push those things out. If we choose one option of EVA, can we switch between the options if necessary? EVA requires a commitment attached to it, because you're given those courses in an A and B kind of fashion. So like I said before, there's certain check-in points that you could say, okay, if you're ready to transition back into the brick and mortar, those check-in points, it requires, us to kind of transition you back. It doesn't mean that it's a long and lengthy process. It does mean, though, that you're talking about different, different curriculum, and there's good check-in points. Usually the semester is probably the best point to do that. So a semester basis. So if you're thinking about your response to, COVID this year, you may think that I want to sit the first semester out. Definitely. Then you would be going with the online option or with the EVA option. The online option, it's a little more porous with the school. So if you want to sit out for the first few weeks or the first month and decide you want to go back, send your child or student into the classroom, that online option allows for that in and out. I think I got that. If we choose EVA to start, but then want to switch to regular class learning, is that possible? Again, I think I spoke to that. It is possible, but there's check-in points. Is everyone muted? Yes, I muted everyone that were participants, or attendees, not panelists. Yes, typically, because if people don't mute themselves, you'll hear things behind the scenes. I'm guessing the only coordinators are on screen. Okay, yep. Will there be a database for parents to watch the classes after each class to help explain the lessons? So I'm guessing you're thinking about the synchronous sessions in EVA. The online option for the district, I don't believe every single class is going to be recorded and cataloged. If it is, that's going to be an awful lot of data to store. I don't know if we have that capacity to do that, and I don't think they're going to want to record every class and kind of in the online option. Misty can speak to whether or not they record and catalog the classes in EVA.
I know that is what we try to do. So if we are missing a few students in a live lesson, then she'll record that and then send the link to the families so that they can go ahead and catch up. I mean, our goal is for our students to be in the live lessons so that we can assess them, but we know there are going to be times that might not work. I will tell you, we are trying to be thoughtful of the fact that families are working, and may even push some live lessons in the evening to accommodate families.
Cool, thank you. Synchronous live sessions have to be done at that time. Yes, they can't watch it. Well, I think Misty just spoke to that. And camera, I am at work and need to make sure no one else can, oh yeah, okay. Will this also provide captions for me to understand? Does it provide captions for those so that we have that universal design of learning?
In any videos or anything that we do, there is a PDF transcript to follow up with it. So if you need that written piece, it will be there for every single video-based instruction inside our program. Everything else has it written, and then you can do an audio piece if you'd like.
Great. Will this webinar deck be available afterwards? Yes, we're going to post the video as well as the slide deck to our website. Will field trips still happen through online option or EVA? And if so, is it recommended the parents still get their clearances done? I don't believe this year that if you go with EVA, that field trips are going to be part of the offering of the supplemental activities. I was asking about that. My understanding right now is no. Could that change? It's a potential. It's one of those details, kind of like the hybrid options to those activities that are within the school during the regular school day. It's one of those potentials right now, and we're still ironing out the details for that, just because of some certain safety concerns and things like that. So we're still talking about that, but it's a question that we're going to have to get back to you on, and we'll post in a follow-up frequently asked question sheet. If I decide to send my child to the actual school building, will I be able to start to do school at home if that seems to be better? Yeah, you would actually start with the modified traditional, and then you can elect at some point in time to go to the online option if you believe that that is right for you. And again, at the kind of the semester check-in points, we could have an in and an out of EVA if that's the option you wanted to go with. Will they be able to easily transfer back into traditional schools? The easy transfer, the answer to that is yes, both EVA and online, the online option. But with EVA, there are points in time. With the online option, it's the school and the, the virtual learning. There can be a transition in and out of the classroom at Effort Area School District. How does the hybrid cyber work with an elementary level? Can my first grader go on site for reading instruction, for example? And if I selected that option, would that be fluid throughout the year? So if you're getting specific reading instruction that is required through an IEP, GIP, 504, something like that, with those, we would work with pupil services for that type of instruction on campus, and that would be a conversation that we would follow up with Sue about as to what is needed for that reading instruction, and if it can't be offered through EVA, how do we get that into your child's curriculum? Sue, do you have any comments about that?
And it would be fluid. We'd make sure that it's fluid. We would have the GIP or the IEP or whatever document, and we would make sure that it works.
Great, thank you. How does my student get paperwork and homework? Everything is unless it's sent to you like a tangible book, like a workbook. Some courses work through a workbook, or they need a novel that'll be sent to you. But paperwork, worksheets and things like that, you typically have in a PDF format. That you would utilize. So we do have, the PDF format, and if printing were an issue, we could talk with our technology department about that printing. But a lot of the work is done through kind of like online activities and things like that. Misty, is there a lot of printing that needs to be done through the elementary courses?
There's no printing that needs to be done. Every single time you have an activity that says download, you can actually just refer to your workbook. There is, and I saw in the chat they are actual paper copy workbooks that will be sent to them that accompany all the lessons so that they can actually do the work. And then we have a lot of families that take a picture of it and then send it to the teacher, or download it into the computer so they can put it in the Dropbox for the assignment. So
the printing is kind of Yeah.
The printing is kind of obsolete. We're not there.
Yeah.
If you have a kid that it's not something they need to practice, but they can actually download the assignment and type right into it and then
Right.
just save it and send it. So
Yeah. And, you know, there's plenty of options out there to manipulate PDFs and things like that that don't require printing. And that's traditionally what's gone with now. Could I decide to send my, oh, there was a question right before that I think I missed, perhaps. Let me go up. I think I went too far. Sorry about that. How long are the EVA synchronous live sessions for elementary age students?
it depends on the age of the student, because we're not going to expect a kindergartner to sit through a live lesson as long as a fifth grader. So you will have shorter lessons for your younger kids. But I would say as you move up to like 4th, 5th grade, you're going to be looking at maybe a half an hour type of live lesson, so that you can instruct, you know, guided practice just like you would in the classroom. And somebody asked, and I was just typing this, if we have any idea what time those take place. Live lessons, our teacher will reach out to the families at the beginning of the week to talk about live lessons, to be able to find times that kind of fit the needs of our families. And that's why I said I think we're probably going to run into like doing, you know, some live lessons during the day, but maybe doing a live lesson here and there in the evening. So, but we're going to check and see what our families need first.
Great. And talking about levels of support, I got a text because Tim McCormick is in the background. He's our IT director, and he was listening to the printer situation, and his response is printing is not needed, and typically it's not, but a printer may be available if absolutely necessary for certain accommodations. So yeah, if you need it for an accommodation and you need it, we'll work with you, of course. We talked about how long the synchronous sessions are. How is differentiation addressed through the EVA if there is not an IEP or gifted plan in place? Well, I believe, you know, a lot of the differentiation you're going to see in place within any of the courseware are multiple modalities of delivery. You know, you're talking about video, you're talking about text delivery, you're talking about it's worked at a mastery level so that if student needs additional practice and they need to master a concept, it's really, you know, the teachers behind the scene and Misty are looking for that mastery level so that if a student, you know, we're not just going to pass them through the content because they completed something, they're going to have to prove mastery, and they're going to have to, then they can progress through on it. And plus you have the teachers behind the scene that can answer questions, they can do on-spot checks, you get all that feedback. So the differentiation is really part of the process of online learning because the content is built in such a way to differ for so many different types of learners. Laptops are provided. How many students are in?
Follow that up? Sorry, can I? Because I'm reading the chat as you're going through the questions.
Okay,
so,
yeah, great, thank you.
Piggyback off of that, because they're asking, can they move through the curriculum faster? What if they're a 3rd grader but they're working at a 4th grade level?
Sure.
I will encourage you, because I also was a principal of gifted. If you have a child that's mastering and going through very quickly, then you know we need to have a conversation about why is that. Because if they need a GIEP, then we can go ahead, work with EFRTA and make sure that accommodations are in place to be able to meet the needs rigor-wise for that child. I know that my teacher, if you communicate as the parent and say, hey, they're really blowing through this, you know, the fractions, can you give us something else to work on? She'll find extra resources and websites for you to be able to go through and practice so that you're not, because we don't ever want to hold you back, but we also want to make sure we're meeting your needs, and that could be through a gifted IEP. So.
Great. The other question was, how many students are in an EVA class? Keep on to say EVA just because, you know. How many students are in an EVA class traditionally?
Well, I feel like this year will be a bit different in the amount of kids that are coming. We will always make sure it's manageable, similar to what a classroom would be. And to be honest with you, if you're doing a live session, we'll probably, I don't want to see 30 kids in necessarily a live lesson. So maybe that would be divided into a couple live lessons, and it would be nice because then we can actually group them based on their needs and have like smaller groups. So.
Great. I talked about technology already. Yes, we provide what you need for that. The sessions, the length of the sessions was already asked. Next question, so with the online learning option with Ephrata teachers, will this be a learning curve for them at the beginning of the year? Do they already know how to instruct to both students in the classroom and students watching online? I know that there was, you know, even here at Boyertown, you know, some parents weren't exactly happy with the way things ended the year. We want people to understand that that really was a quick response to a very stressful situation. And we also had to take into account that we really didn't know what the world was walking into and what it was going to look like in a month. You know, back in March, I remember, you know, Boyertown was one of the first to close because they shut down Montgomery County, and it was, you know, March 12th before March 13th, where everybody else started to go. Sitting in a meeting, just figuring out, okay, what is an expectation? What is actually, first of all, what's happening? What is the expectation we're going to have on teachers? Because we know that they don't have, you know, daycare is going to be an issue because it's so quickly, and, you know, the daycare shut down and everything. So there were a lot of things going on behind the scenes, aside from just teacher capacity, that were limiting what could be our actual response to things. The entry plan this year will look nothing like the exit plan from last year. Teachers in any of these options have gotten a lot of experience through what happened at the end of last year. So we have a lot of, you know, that was a learning curve, but also we have professional development that they are going to be taking and have been learning, you know, throughout the summer in many places that looked at blended options. How are we going to manage this online option in such a way that it's not going to look anything like the end of last year? And EVA looks nothing like the end of last year. It is a very well vetted, you know, it's a curriculum that will walk the students through, that'll speak to the standards, that provides a variety of supports, and is very rigorous. So the teachers at Ephrata, they will have professional development leading up to the year. They're going to learn how to work with that technology, learning to work with students that are, you know, not on campus and students that are on campus, how we're going to get them connected, how they're going to connect to the teacher, how they're going to walk through these lessons and have both synchronous and asynchronous work that is going to be rigorous, is going to meet them where they're at, and also get them to the standards and the learning targets. When do we need to decide by to determine the direction? There is going to be a date that is going to be published that is going to say we kind of need a decision by this day. It's going to be in the beginning of August. I don't know the specific day yet, but it's going to be sent out to the community, and it's basically going to be a sign up. Can there be some information that can be emailed so that we can look over the options again? Yeah, absolutely. All this stuff, if you send me an email and ask for the email, I definitely will send you a personal email. All of this is located on the Ephrata. If you type in Ephrata in a search engine, Ephrata Virtual Academy, and you click on it and you go to our page there, this will be housed. The slide deck will be housed, but also we already have a lot of information housed there to begin with. I did a video that talks about it. It's only like 4 or 5 minutes long, and there's a kind of a flyer and all sorts of information. How many hours per day for a third grader? Does that include all the work? Elementary school students, I think we're about like I said, around 4 hours. Is that where we're at, Miss?
Well, can I address that? Because attendance, because I saw that come up in the chat too. They asked about a specific grade level. Something to know regarding Pennsylvania Department of Education, we are still required for elementary students to have 990 hours of education, regardless of where they're at, what they're doing, they have to have that. So we have it built up that you have system time, that you have live lesson time, and that you have off the system time, which you can log. So we want to make sure that with that, I think depending on how many instructional days you have, it's a little over 5 hours, 5 hours and 45 minutes or something like that, depending on how many days. If you have 180 days, I think it's like 5 hours. But if you have 177 days in your calendar, then it's going to be like 5 hours and 45 minutes. So that's what we're looking. But I will tell you, at least for me, and Ron, you can jump in and correct me. We're going to look at that for the week to really oversee, and at least in an online, because I know on Tuesday, maybe you're not feeling well. You can send in an excuse, but you can also make up that time, because we're going to run a time report at the end of the week and see, oh, okay, yep, they got everything in. They're doing well on their courses. So just please know that regardless of any school you go to in the state of Pennsylvania, it is a requirement by PDE at 990 hours a year. So.
Yeah, and not all those hours obviously are going to be online on the computer.
Oh.
You log some of that time, so anything you're doing that's academically related can go into that log, and it's an accountability mechanism for us as a district to ensure that we're providing for that.
And we'll have that set up for you. The log will have a little homeroom base, and you as a parent can log any additional time, and the teacher will log her live lessons for you. So all of that will be done.
Great. Says it wasn't really advertised prior to the pandemic, so I would imagine it would be higher enrollment. Are we equipped to handle the numbers of students? Yeah, I believe we're equipped to handle the number of students. Misty and I have been in constant contact. We're looking behind the scenes as to, who is inquiring, taking all that data into consideration, how many people were on this, how many people have sent inquiry through our form. The principals are talking to people, so we're getting a feel for that, and then we're gonna have that cutoff date. And Misty is capable of adding and, creating a system that's going to accommodate those things, and that's part of what she does. I don't envy the stress she's going to be under in a couple weeks, but
well, and honestly, if you've decided this is what you want to do, please, I would say don't wait, sign up, because the sooner he can get numbers to me, the sooner I can make sure I have additional staff in place. So.
We talked about the workbooks. Do I need to actively sit with a first grader the whole day in AVA? I don't think so. If your first grader can work on, no. If they can plug away at something, you do function behind the scene to set the stage for them and to structure the day. But for a first grader, it's, I know I'm thinking of my soon-to-be 5-year-old and how antsy they are. And then her best friend niece is going into first grade, and she can sit. I mean, there's such a difference between those two, like a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. It can be huge. Are the EVA synchronous sessions in the same time each week? That really depends, and Misty spoke about that. How do children socialize with each other in EVA? That's a good question. One of the things I can say is they have opportunity to sign up for extracurriculars, like sports and things like that. But in EVA, can you talk about any of the chat functions? Or I obviously, when they're on a live session, there's interaction and they're interacting with the teacher.
And I think too, with the numbers increasing, because we didn't have the amount I think we're going to have this year. So it will allow Zoom, if you're familiar with what we're in, actually allows for breakout rooms for kids to do group work and things like that. So through that live lesson, you're going to be able to have that interaction like you would in a classroom. And then the extra opportunities through EFRTA itself. And I know with a lot of our students, they socially, are involved in a lot of things that they work out with kids. So.
Right. And if you're really concerned with social interaction, but you still want to maintain the distance from the brick and mortar, the online option allows for that collaboration and interaction with their students within the district. So if social interaction is a primary concern, and particularly social interaction with their peers that they've always known, you may consider the online option. Does the school district receive student grades from EVA? The answer is yes, and those go on the transcript. If you miss a synchronous session with the online learning option, not EVA, would it be available at a later time to make up work? Again, I talked a little bit about that, whether or not they're going to be recording and posting. I think some of that would be, there hasn't been kind of a mandate that things would be recorded. I don't know if we'd actually have the capacity to record every live session throughout the district every day and post them, because that would be an incredible amount of data being stored. Do the semesters line up with physical school semesters? Yeah, they do. And the breaks and things like that, they are coordinated too. Social skills needed in the online option. I think we talked a little bit about that social interaction and that social environment. Can students use EVA as the base curriculum and also virtually attend the specials? Yes, you can. If you're going to use EVA as the base curriculum, you can use our online option for those specials. I actually talked with Dr. Troop about that today, and that was one of the options. He said, yeah, let them know if they want to use EVA and they want to use our specials in an online way. Absolutely. In EVA, how are specials offered and how are the supplies provided? One of the things is like art. Misty, can you talk about the art class?
A lot of the supplies for the art classes are very basic supplies that you would have, your crayons, a paper, stuff like that. Anything above that, they usually try to find things within the house to be able to complete the lessons. If you are having difficulty, you know, getting those different types of things, communicate that to Mr. Wales or I, and then we can either, you know, work through the content, give you an alternate activity, or try to get those supplies out to you.
Right, and here at Boyertown, I had a couple of different questions about that, and that really goes to communication, just saying, listen, this is an activity in which I'd like to do it this way. Is there any way I can have or borrow this from, you know, the school district has a plethora of, you know, ample art supplies to loan out and to utilize, just like we, you know, with computers and things like that. Are students in EVA penalized if they aren't able to make the synchronous session? I don't think they're penalized. I think it's highly encouraged to get to the synchronous sessions or to watch them if you miss them, but logging those, it's part of those hours that they're looking to get you to log in and to actually accumulate. So you're accountable for the time and the content and the curriculum, and the live sessions are really a support mechanism. Some, you know, when you go into some cyber schools, there is no scheduled live session. In fact, many cyber schools, there is no scheduled live session. You work your way through the content. In regards to tech, okay, I think we answered that. We're getting to the end here. You may be able to go onto the website and look at what a first grade curriculum looks like to get an idea. And I know that Misty gave us a demo, and we'll have this demo. I think they're talking about a demo account. Is there any way we could get a demo account or something like that we could post to the website? I'll talk with Misty about that to see if we can. I will post that. We would have to contact our vendors for the curriculum and see if we can set that up. But a demo account would be nice. And if we get that, I'll communicate that out. What happens to online option if schools shut down? It keeps chugging right along. I mean, if schools shut down, there's going to be an online option that schools will have to offer. But, you know, EVA will just continue as EVA is because it's online anyway. Does the online option use Seesaw? I don't believe it does. No, they're going to use the kind of the Zoom sessions and the content that's on there. Oh, the online option for the school will use Seesaw. For the online option within the brick and mortar will use Seesaw. Sorry. And I believe you're saying, in the question prior to that, what about the online option, thinking the Effort Area School District online option, if the school shut down again? Well, that's one of those ways that we're building in a support to transition to an online option. I don't have the details as to what that's going to look like, but I can tell you it's not going to look like what it did at the end of the year, and an online option and online classes would be part of that, I'm assuming. Is there a new student orientation or parent orientation to EVA? There is an orientation that if you know you need a session for me to walk you through with this, you know, to how to start up and what your credentials are and the supports you have, I can definitely offer that orientation, and Misty can coordinate with me to kind of just give me the credentials and the things I need to offer that orientation. Last few questions. How much parental involvement for EVA and modified virtual? And I think we talked about that. You're essentially behind the scenes. You have learning coach notes. You structure it. You don't have to teach it, though. You're a coach, and you structure the environment for them. The teacher is there to teach and can be accessed. You know, you're really there as kind of the guide on the side to make sure that they're working their way through it. They have a structure. They have a spot to do it. They have an environment to work in. I talked about recording. How does music work with EVA? That's a good question. And that's probably the last question for Misty.
Okay, so music, we have some basic music courses. I will tell you there's not a lot out there for music at an elementary level. So my school district right now is actually, our teachers are building their own music courses. And so if there is a need for music, or if that's something you're really want to see for your kids, then communicate that, and I can always pull from our district catalog to bring in a music course that you think would be something you want. And I would otherwise encourage you to maybe do that blended of taking the music with the online option and then using EVA, the other courses. So, because that's a nice little blend ability that you have.
Great. There was one other tech question that I'll answer, and a couple of comments sent to me by Tim McCormick, and that is that not just Seesaw, there are a lot of apps for the online option that are available, and for students when they receive their devices. There literally is, like, he sent me the list and I have access to it on my the district issued Mac. Seesaw, a huge number of apps for supports in like math and reading and this and that. So the district has gone to great lengths to create a pool of resources to support the learning either in EVA or in the online option. So if you're thinking about apps that you're going to have to find to support the learning, the district has done that for you. And we have a lot of resources to offer, no matter what option you choose. And he also talked about tools to offer live interaction, such as Microsoft Teams for live sessions in the online session. So if you want to look at one of the major components for the online session, Microsoft Teams, and there'll be, teachers are getting training in that specifically on how to utilize that effectively so that students in the brick and mortar and students that are on the online option can interact together. I think
I had one I did not address in the chat that I'll give to you.
Okay, go for it.
Can you start in school and start EVA if school shut down? So I wasn't sure.
So can you start in school in the brick and mortar and go to EVA if the school shuts down? I think that, again, that's one of those, like, if we shut down again. If you're really concerned about that and you want to start in school, but you want to have this kind of online backup, because EVA typically has that in and out period of time to transition students, I would be thinking about our online option. The EVA, like if school shut down, can we dump everybody into EVA? That's probably not going to be an option. First of all, I don't know if we wouldn't have the capacity to do that. I mean, you'd really be thinking about that online option so that you have access to the traditional brick and mortar, and then you can move, back and forth if need be. Really, the online option is built in to our year to provide that flexibility of, what if we shut down? We're going to online. We have it built into the system, and the teachers have been given a lot of professional development on how to run it in such a manner that it doesn't mirror what happened or what was the situation at the end of the year. So that would be my answer to that. That if you want to start the school on EVA, you're going to be on EVA. We don't necessarily have the capacity to go back and forth between EVA and the school district and an online option. So. Again, thank you for everyone first of all, for showing up and attending the session and listening to me. And thank you to Misty for showing up and answering so many great questions. I'll see you back at 3. Thanks again. I really appreciate the time. I really do, because your expertise in this is I can't parallel it on how to navigate the system. You've been working in the weeds with this for a long time, and I love the system that you have. So thank you so much. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Sue. Yeah, we'll post this on the website, and if you have any questions that need follow-up, particular concerns, please email me or Lori, and we'll definitely follow up. Everybody stay safe and take care. Thank you.
Thanks.